I've got a story in the stack today, and it's a fascinating headline. I'll paraphrase the headline, but it illustrates the problem, illustrates the point. People are given a list of issues and solutions, and they love the conservative solution to every problem until they find out that they are Republican ideas. Then they reject them. And not because of the ideas. So why are they rejecting Republicans? It's not because of who the Republicans are. It's because of what's being said about Republicans to them. The Republicans have a brand or whatever image problem. And what they're going to have to do is change the way they are talked about. They don't have to change who they are. This is the biggest point I was trying to make yesterday. Now, there's an assumption I'm making here. I'm assuming, just for the sake of this discussion, I know that it's not actually totally true, but I'm assuming in the political spectrum, the Republican Party's conservative. I know the establishment isn't, but the Democrat Party is liberal, far-left extremist. The Republican Party is, by comparison, conservative. Without getting into the bowels of the arguments within the Republican Party, it's not conservatism that's being rejected by people, is my point. The Republicans think it is. The Republicans in the establishment think that conservatism is what makes people nervous. If you give people, in a focus group or a poll, a conservative solution to a list of problems, they go for it. They love it. Then they find out that their Republican ideas, quote unquote, they reject them. So they're not rejecting ideas. The voters are not rejecting, they are rejecting who they think Republicans are. That's the problem the Republican Party has. And I started yesterday as an illustration. There's a real world example of this taking place right now. As I know many people get nervous and get crazy when I start talking about Apple. It's like people used to get nervous when I talked about golf a lot. But there's a real world example with what's taking place. Apple and the Republican Party are not completely analogous because Apple still is the giant number one runaway, no question. But what's being said about them is the exact opposite. And who it's affecting is people who are not yet Apple customers. Now, the existing Apple customer has got profound loyalty and is not going to be talked out of it. But their ability to grow is what's being attacked, and what's being said about them is being said as by design, as the nature of capitalism. It's highly competitive. Not complaining about anything here. Yeah, Apple's got to figure this out. Their big problem is how they are being characterized in the tech media and in the mainstream media with their falling stock price. The image is being created that it's over for Apple. They're finished. They're done. They're yesterday's news. They may not survive. Don't doubt me. This is the news about Apple in the tech community. Samsung is running advertisers making spots making fun of Apple customers. Apple doesn't know what to do. They've never been in this position. They're used to being up on the pedestal, everybody loving them, and the criticism never working, never sticking, never amounting to anything. Now their stock prices fall, and I'm convinced they don't know how to deal with it. And in that sense, it's a Republican Party. They do not know how to deal with what's happening to them. And my point is, I don't think they really understand they think they're losing elections because Hispanics don't like them. They think they're losing elections because they're not open-minded enough on amnesty or abortion. So what are they about to do? They're about to agree to amnesty that will forever secure their defeat. It will automatically give the Democrats 9 million minimum new Democrat voters overnight for doing nothing. And the Republicans are being manipulated and tricked into doing this under the guise, and who's manipulating them? Democrats, other Democrats, the media. And they're being tricked into agreeing to this under the guise that they're mean, they're seen as extremist. The people on talk radio are giving them a bad image. And as long as the people on talk radio keep doing what they do, nobody's going to like the Republicans, blah, 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 blah. Republicans have to reach out to women. Women don't like them. Got to reach out to Hispanics. Who's telling them to do this? The Democrats, who obviously want to share their voters with them, right? Democrats want to give away some voters. I can't tell you what a big mistake they're about to make. And it's because Like every political party that loses an election, they're in a funk. They've lost their confidence. But more than that, well, tough to say more than that, but one of the factors here, they're just hell-bent right now on doing things to be liked rather than sticking to principles. I mean, if you show them the data, look at people overwhelmingly oppose what Obama's doing and support conservative solutions until they find out it's a Republican idea. Now, what would you do to change that? Well, the first thing you'd have to do is assess why is that the case. And is it because of who they are, or is it because of what's being said about them that they haven't successfully refuted? And I would suggest to you it's the latter. Now, there are some Republicans who are wishy-washy moderates who are their own worst enemy, and they think that they're the answer. The Republican Party thinks the answer is abandoning social issues, abandoning Christian conservatives, abandoning conservatism, and that is their solution. But they don't see that as a solution because the Christian conservatives, the social issue crowd, talk radio people, are the ones attacked, ridiculed, and made fun of and accused of being the problem. So the Republicans think that what they have to do in order to stop being criticized or mischaracterized is to get rid of what people are criticizing. They don't understand that they're being suckered into participating in their own official demise. It's a tough thing because it boils down to some basic human nature. Everybody wants to be loved. Nobody wants to be criticized. You respond to the criticism. You make the critics love you, particularly in a town like Washington. But the good news for the Republicans is it's not conservatism that's turning people off. It's the word Republican and what people have been made to believe that means. This is and it's been going on for a while. All right, can anybody out there name for me one time a Republican effort to rebrand something has worked? Ever? Let's see. We've tried kinder, gentler party. That was George H.W. Bush. He did not win re-election. Plus, he also agreed to race him. It was a kinder, gentler nation. Then there was compassionate conservative. That was George W. Bush. And, of course, these rebranding efforts are all made from a posture of defense or embarrassment, if you will. I remember George W. Bush in the 2000 campaign actually used the phrase, "I'm not going to balance the budget on the backs of the poor." So, whoa, what is that? Why are we talking like Democrats? Because everybody was accepting the branding issue that conservatives are racist, sexist, bigots, homophobes, and all that. Nothing could be further from the truth. But every time you try to rebrand yourself, you are accepting that accusation about yourself. And that's what the Republican Party has been doing. I don't know any other rock-ribbed conservative who does. But these rebranding efforts never work. They never fool anybody. And you know why? Because they're unnecessary. The party supporters do not think of the party that way. The party supporters are upset that it's not conservative enough. That's the solution for the Republican Party. It really isn't complicated. Here's that story I was referencing. I have it right here, my formerly nicotine-stained fingers, by PJ Media. And it is a poll in thehill.com. And here's the headline to the story: majority back Republican ideas until they hear that the ideas come from Republicans. Conservative ideas, conservative solutions are always in favor when people hear about them, when people have it explained to them. But the Republican Party isn't conservative. It's afraid to be. because it is responding to all of the criticism from people who do not have its best interests at heart. I refuse to believe that the Democrats or the media telling the Republicans, hey, you know what, you need to be more accepting of Hispanic. They're not doing that for our benefit. They're not trying to help us. And yet, party bigwigs act like, you know what, they're right. We need to reach out more. We need to be more for amnesty. For what? It's a trap. It's a trick. Just like the don't criticize Obama, you're going to send people running to the arms, the independents, right back to the Democrats. It's a trick. So the reason there's a disconnect with the voters in the Republican Party is that the party isn't conservative. Every time the Republicans win an election, they stop teaching conservative principles. Now, that's my take on it. The author of the story, that's not his take here. It's Brian Preston, PJ Media. As a poll, respondents were asked to choose which of two approaches they would prefer on the budget. Questions phrasing included no cues as to which party advocated for which option. Presented in that way, 55% of likely voters opted for a plan that would slash $5 trillion in government spending, provide for no additional taxes, balance the budget within 10 years. People said, yep, that's what we're for. They found out it was a Republican idea and they ran away from it. They did not run away from the principle, the idea, or the solution to the problem. They ran away from a name.